Yo, welcome back to Semen Retention. We're going for a little drive, gonna have a little chat. Hope you boys are holding on, or I should say men, because only men hold on to their seed. And little boys release, constantly release. I was actually watching a video today that was kind of like one of those classic, vintage American propaganda kind of videos where you've got like, some well-dressed conservative American man that's posing as some sort of authoritarian figure, and then a young boy, probably preteen, maybe early teens, like from the age of like 11 to 15. He was about that age. And the guy was saying, the American man was saying like, I'm not going to say the word, but Bashan is basically that the healthy thing for men to do. And the kid was saying, I feel very guilty and shameful when I do it. And then the man was saying, you shouldn't feel shame about it. You shouldn't feel guilty about it. It's completely healthy and normal for you to do it moderately throughout the week. And I thought that was very interesting that this kind of notion has been pushed forward for probably, I'd say, judging by that video, that looked like 70s kind of video, maybe 60s even. So it's been pushed for about 60 years. So we've been going through this, basically we can go back all the way to 1968 is when things started to really turn degenerate. And the reason why that is that was the kind of sexual revolution. And, I'm all for the whole kind of like free spirit, psychedelic, like Jimi Hendrix playing at Woodstock because he's anti like Vietnam kind of situation. I'm not going to say some certain words, so I hope you just catch on to what I'm actually trying to say. So basically what happened was, this video made me think, where have we been deceived along our journey, and what were the things that kind of made it normal to do this practice of degeneracy and not the practice of celibacy? So semen retention. And what I've noticed is, for me, I think it was like childhood experiences with films, like just normal films, like, just like everything's overly like kind of sexualized when you're a kid. And you take it on as like a subconscious kind of thing. And you can even just go to something really quick, quirky and out there like Austin Powers, which, I know it's like an MA-15 plus film, but like there's no, to our parents' detriment, they did nothing to stop that kind of stuff, unless you lived with super conservative parents. And then there was just some certain things in cartoons and other movies that kind of made it questionable. But the other thing is that when I kind of got into my late teens, I noticed going on the internet, not only are they creeps on the internet and all that kind of stuff, but I also noticed certain articles and all these kind of things saying that this is good for you and all that kind of stuff, and like, it's important for your mental health, it's good for your prostate and all this kind of stuff. And I just think it's all deception. I think it's all part of, the problem reaction solution, okay? If you have millions and millions of men, billions of men releasing, you have a lot of potential sick men when they're older, then you can build industries of sickness, such as the health industry. And you can exploit people for the money that they've worked for, to be flushed down the toilet because they decided to partake in an advertised and propaganded, self-pleasure kind of activity. And I realized that this is just the game. This has always been the game, and it doesn't just relate to semen retention and, Bation. It also relates to like so many other things to do with your health, like whether it's eating, or whether it's the things that you're consuming, like alcohol, certain media that's impacting your brain. We're constantly on this kind of, teetering the line of all these little kind of discrepancies within our morals. And I just find it really interesting that we kind of turn a blind eye to it and just accept it as a society. We're just like, nah, that's fine. I was watching a video recently about how food delivery apps like Uber and DoorDash and all that kind of stuff are now starting to implement like eat now, pay later kind of policies. So like people that have eating disorders, obese people and, just idiots that just like, don't know how to manage their money and are craving KFC one night, they're going to go out there and order a bucket of chicken that they can't afford. And instead of practicing self-discipline, they're getting obese, mentally ill. The meat is definitely not healthy. And yeah, they're just clowning around. They're clowning around and they're going to pay massive consequences later on with interest. And I've said that before, like this whole consequences with interest. And what do I mean by like with interest? I mean, it's going to accumulate. It's going to be like a culture, like bacteria that accumulates and cultivates this strength and power and all that kind of stuff, and then it's just going to obliterate you. So when your karma comes back, it's going to hurt hard. It's really interesting just how we fall into these kind of manipulative ways. And I've actually been talking to a lot of girls about it. Like when I say a lot, I maybe like 4 or 5 girls about it. Because I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like, I don't care if you think I'm weird, what I do, I like whatever. This is just what I do. If you're with it, you're with it. If you don't like it, that's fine. Let's not waste each other's time. I was kind of saying to them that it's like it can feel conflicting at times. Like there's an inner conflict where I want to just le petit mort, the little death. I want to give myself a little death, but really, from a higher perspective, from like a bird's eye view, I'm like, look, dude, this is just one day. This is just one day. You're feeling your energy. It's dropping low. Even things like going to the gym sometimes don't help. Even working on your purpose sometimes won't help you from feeling those urges. What is going to happen to, I guess, get through it is you just got to say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling this energy. I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. But I'm still going to go to bed tonight. I'm still not going to cross the line. I'm still not going to cross that threshold where it's too late and you can't pull back. And then it all just falls out and you're like, wow, I hate myself. And one of the girls I was kind of talking about what I do with, she was like, well, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself. It sounds like a bit of an ego trap. I thought that was interesting about this whole concept of an ego trap, meaning that I think she's saying that I'm trapped within an idea of myself, which is to be on semen retention / celibacy. And look, she hadn't really gathered enough data from my kind of like lived experiences to understand the real depth as to why I do this practice, but I did acknowledge like her idea of it and stuff. And I said to her, yeah, I understand, but I've noticed I get penalized when I do these things. Like, the universe penalizes me. I lost my license the last time I released. And basically other things happen. I notice that when you become more aware, when you move more towards the light, you become more aware, you see the details of things more. The closer you get to the light, the greater shadow you cast beneath you. So as soon as you turn around and start going back towards your shadow, you've already cast a great shadow that's going to engulf you. Even as you move down, you won't be able to ignore the fact that you are aware of not only the light of the greatness of the light, but you also are going to be aware of the pits of darkness that you're going to have to you're going to have to face in full force this time, because you've been gifted all the gifts of moving towards the light. You've been gifted with clarity and awareness. You've been gifted with all these different things, only to turn your back onto it, and therefore you get punished. And I think she was saying, well, I think you're being a little bit kind of, I don't know, you're being a little bit like I think she was saying maybe that the fact that I lost my license has nothing to do with it, and it's like there's an exception, you're the exception but not the rule kind of thing. And I was like saying, well, okay, there's one way of thinking about it, but how about you think about it like this? She was saying, what if you jumped in water every single day? You jumped in that same water, but then one day you jumped in and you got pierced, or you hit a rock and you broke your leg or whatever. And she's saying, just because you jumped into the water every single day doesn't make you immune from the fact that you are potentially going to hit danger and stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying to her, is that I was saying to her, yeah, like, look, it's not about me thinking that these penalties don't exist because of semen retention. I think they exist because of semen retention, because if you think about it, let's use this jumping into the water example. It's pretty hard to explain. I'm going to try my best to just not waste time with it, okay? What you do is you jump into the water every single day, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's say you're a smoker and you smoke cigarettes and you drop a bud in the water as well. You just chuck it in there. You're like, look, this is just one little tiny butt. This is one little tiny cigarette butt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, it's just, oh, it kills one fish. All right, whatever. That's not that important, okay? So you're a bit arrogant when you think that, okay? But you do it every single day to the point where the amount of cigarette butts that you throw into the water, if combined all together and compressed together, could form a single rock. Okay, now with that single rock, how much damage could it do? Well, you're going to combine that with the interest as well. So let's say if the interest rate is 10%, you're going to add an extra bit of 10% of rock to that, because when you get penalized, there is interest added for the time that you got to experience without being penalized, okay? So what happens is, after throwing all these cigarette butts, they jump in the water again, and then they hit that rock, okay? And that's when they hurt their leg, because they've been doing an activity that they thought they could get away with. They thought they could let it slide, but then they get punished hard. And then an idiot would think to themselves, look, this is just bad luck. This is just the fact that I jumped off the wrong side of the rock today and I hit a rock on my way down, and the water, maybe the tide wasn't out as much, blah, blah, blah. So an idiot would think like that. A wise person would think, actually, hang on a second, my actions haven't been lining up. My karma has been pretty bad, actually. I have been penalized by God because I clearly haven't been doing the right thing, I've been misusing, mistreating my body. I've been mistreating the earth, and as a result, I have to be punished physically and deal with this injury to give me some time to reflect on what I've done. So what happened with me is when I released, that same day I got a fine. That fine tipped me over, which caused me to lose my license, and I had to have build up before losing my license, and also 3 months of actual losing my license, to reflect on the fact that I was going to be punished. And during my punishment, I reflected on all the facts. I started this channel. I started doing this. I was already practicing semen retention from that day that I got the fine. That was 14 months ago. Okay, so I'm still on that same streak. But the point is that you have to have this kind of level of awareness of semen retention penalties. And yeah, like women, just to be honest, like a lot of women, they kind of just, they always look to the bright side of things and turn their cheek on their shadow every single day. And the reason why they do that is because, they've been, like men, they've been manipulated. They have got their own kind of list of propaganda that they've been pushed upon them. And the main thing for women is kind of like that, for modern women, is that kind of like thank you next kind of energy, where it's like, it gives me the ick, I'm not going to deal with this. It's like, okay, how about I get some pharmaceutical pills in order to regulate my mood, because I'm actually feeling these feelings of guilt and shame for these things that I've been doing that actually doesn't align with me. But according to the propaganda, it's healthy for me to take these pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. So what happens is people fall through that all the time, okay? They fall for that propaganda every single day. They're going through that propaganda, they're taking that pill, so to speak. And for men, we took that pill. We took the propaganda pill of, it's healthy to bation every single day, We took that pill of it's healthy for this because it's good for our prostate. It's healthy for this because it's good for our mental health. It's healthy for us because, it helps us go to sleep. It's all a lie, guys. It's all BS. Again, it goes back to the problem, reaction, solution type method, where they create a problem, which is men, getting prostate, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, there's another problem. Men are lacking sleep, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, how about men? You are in a relationship with someone that you only entered with through lust. You didn't enter a relationship with them through thinking about the actual mental stimulation, the actual genuine unconditional love that is unrelated to your genitals. And once you're being depleted, you're only coming to the realization that, oh, hang on a second, this is kind of annoying. I'm getting pushed around. I'm depleted. Things aren't even moving, blah, blah, blah. I wish I could just go to sleep. Okay, now I'm going to go on to corn. Now I'm going to use that as my way of getting to sleep. And then the vicious cycle ensues. So, look, guys, I want you to have that level of awareness. If you made it this far through the video, you clearly have that level of awareness. Unless you haven't actually attained that level of awareness and you're just listening to me speak. So I respect that too. So I'm going to leave the video there. Thanks for tuning in to Semen Retention. I want to hear how you're all doing. Some of you have been a bit silent in the comment sections as of late. I don't know where you're at. Let me know where you're at. I don't care if you're facing troubles, all that kind of stuff. Let's get a discussion going, guys. This is what it's all about, being there for each other. And I'll see you on the next video. Catch you, boys.